Welcome to the Whiskey Hour podcast. I'm your host, Phil Tross. I'm joined by my co-host, my brother in arms, the man, the myth, the legend, Jason McMinn, aka Jay McLovin, aka Jay Smooth, aka Jay Bobby Brown. What's up, baby? How you doing, man?
Hey man, I like that introduction. Oh,
Hey,
did
look,
I
I'm trying to
break?
add
Am
some
I
stuff
broke?
to it. You're good now.
Hey, I'm always good, man. Anytime we do this show, man, it's always a fun experience, man. And especially with my boy from another mother, you can't tell it, but I used to be as dark as Phil, but I kind of got out of the sunlight a lot, being out here in Texas, and I've lightened up a little bit. I've lost some of my melanoma, but I'm still a brother from another mother. Okay, don't get it twisted, Phil. I'm still your brother.
Hey, and like we used to do in the Whiskey Hour Golden Ages, as I like to call it, we used to toast. So right now, I'm sipping off some Crown Peach, nothing fancy, but just a customary introduction to the show. Me and Jay at the toast. To get this good show off today, brother. Yes, sir.
Mm,
Nice and smooth,
That is
man.
good stuff. Yes.
So I
Yes, if y'all
missed
don't
you.
know, so today I know Phil said he's drinking Crown Peach. Today I'm drinking some cornbread red. You can get this if you want to know where you can get this from. You can get it from Burnt Church out there in South Carolina. If you go to burntchurch.com, you can probably order it and have it shipped. I got to tell you, Phil, man, it's phenomenal. All their whiskeys are phenomenal. It's a distillery out there, but it's phenomenal.
Okay, well, that sounds awesome, man. What was I about to say? Oh yeah, I said I feel like I haven't seen you in forever. I know I missed you last episode, but got the band back together. So man, how your week been?
It's been good, man. No complaints, really, man. Unlike you guys, we didn't get hit by this Debbie, but I got Barrel, but I didn't get Debbie. And I thank the Lord every day I didn't get Debbie because after coming off the 100-year storm before Barrel and then getting slammed with Barrel after that, Phil, I gotta tell you, man, I ain't never seen so much damn rain. I mean, I had water all the way down the street from my yard. It was so crazy.
Dude, and I want to say what? So I got here. I got to Maryland, December 2021. So this will be my what? 22, 20, my third August. And I haven't seen this much rain and wind and storms since I've been here. So it's a crazy time, man. Definitely need to stay prayed up, stay protected, take all the necessary precautions to keep your family safe and all that kind of stuff, man. But before I get too far ahead of myself too, we are brought to you by the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. You can find us on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. Again, the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. We are the Whiskey Hour Podcast. Give us a like, a share, a follow, and subscribe, man. So today we have a special guest, Jason. Do you want to, before I bring him on screen, you want to introduce his man?
Yeah, so I met this man at the P Wall. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't meet him at the P Wall. We'll get more in the story about the P Wall as when we bring Josh in. But no, I met Josh through some friends of mine. We're all out at Fort Stewart. If you know where Fort Stewart is, it's around the Savannah, Georgia area. You got Hunter Army Airfield, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I had already gotten out of the military at this point. I'd already been retired at that point. And then I met Josh through some friends of mine who had a band and stuff called Chain Reaction. We were doing open mic nights at a bar called Flashback. And Josh was performing with Chain Reaction during that time period. And, as a guest and things like that, he would do guest appearances and things. And that's how I met him. And then I got invited to go hang out with him on a trip. And I'm not gonna say anything about the trip just yet. I'm waiting till Josh comes in to talk about that. But Josh is and was an American soldier that he's obviously out now. Now he's out in Missouri. And I'll let him talk more about that. But yeah, so that's how I met him, right? We're all former military or prior military. And I just met him through friends at a bar. And the he's incredibly talented. He can write music, play music, and obviously some former vet.
Hey, well, without further ado, our brother in arms, Josh Reed, man. What's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's a big honor, I'll tell you.
Hey, man, the honor is all ours. Whenever we can have another vet on the show with us, man, it's always a great pleasure. Because, I mean, we are a very small demographic at the end of the day, And
Yes.
not many people can really relate to what we've gone through in our walk of life. So, I mean, pleasure's all ours, brother. So, hey, like Jason kind of gave you the intro of our intros, but real quick, kind of introduce yourself, man. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and we'll get into some questions for you, bro.
All right, cool. So yeah, my name is Josh Reed. I'm originally from Missouri, but I joined the Army back in 2015. After I joined the Army, I joined active duty infantry. So went to Benning for basic training, you know how it is. And then first duty station was with the 101st Airborne at Fort Campbell. And I was had the honor and opportunity to be with 3rd Brigade 2506.
What? Rockasan in the house. Let's
Good old
go.
Rockasan, band of brothers. Come on.
Yeah, right.
And
Say it
then-
with the chest, Josh. Say it with the chest.
Yeah. Oh, come on, Jay. But anyway, I love this man. But yeah, and I had the opportunity to deploy to Afghanistan shortly after I got to my first duty station there at Fort Campbell, and was there for 9 months in Kabul. And so that's, you know, we can do origin stories on that from our various deployments. But I mean, unless you're there, you just don't understand like what it's like to face death in every day, not knowing if you're going to take your next breath or if it's going to be taken from you. So you hold those things sacred, and that caused me to really enjoy the little things and humble myself. And when I got back from deployment, thank you, Jesus, that was God's telling me to settle down. So I met my wife, and then 4 months later, she got pregnant, and then we PCS'd Fort Stewart, where we had our son Jackson. So we have a son Jackson, and then Fort Stewart's where I met Jason. So I met Jason in what year was that, Jay? 2019, 2020.
I was gonna say it was. Hey, don't forget, you actually have a show out on Facebook that comes out every now and then with the episodes called Action Jackson and Combat Dad, correct?
Yeah. Me and Jackson are starting a YouTube channel at first year called The Adventures of Action Jackson and Combat Dad. It's going to be an interactive YouTube channel featuring my son, and then I'm going to be an interactive buddy that helps him through his missions and his quests. So be looking out for that. But beyond that, hey Jay, we met in 2020, right? When I got back from Poland, if I recall.
That's about right. I think 2020 is about right. Mm-hmm.
Hey, what part of Poland was you in, Josh?
Let's see, where was it? Drosko Pomorski.
I was out there. Yeah.
I was there during COVID, unfortunately. We were only supposed to be there for 4 months on a training rotation with the Polish Army and then come back and then go to Syria and then abroad. But then COVID hit and everything got locked down. So they turned 4 months into 9 months. That was stressful in itself, I tell you. That's actually the time where, unfortunately, my wife made a decision that ended our marriage. But I won't go there. You know, I am divorced now, but we're working it out 50-50 custody, and we're best friends now because of it, you know, and just for the sake of our son, 'cause our son's 6 now and he deserves to have 2 loving parents regardless of how they feel about each other.
100%.
But anyway, going back, I met Jason there at a Flashback in Richmond Hill, Georgia. That's where I met Jay. And I was there with the band Chain Reaction and Nick Zider. Best guitar player I've ever heard. If you don't know who Nick Zider is, he just started a project called Delta Circle, and they're going places. So look them up, give them support because they're going to the stars, in my opinion. But beyond that, I'd get up there, I'd play music, do some originals, do some covers with the band, and you know, it was the family atmosphere, especially from Jason and his wife Mel. They just brought me in, and they were just so friendly and so just welcoming. You know, when you're somewhere where you're kind of alone, like you don't have family close by, because my family's back here in Missouri. But I had my Georgia family, and they took me in, they loved me, treated me as their own, and I was just so humble and blessed for that. So I can't thank you enough, Jason, honestly.
Hey,
yeah, man. I know we good friends, Josh. That, man. You know how I feel about me.
My bad, Jay. I didn't mean to talk over you. My bad.
No, you're good. No, you're good. Phil. So we all took a trip, and I'll get into that story now. So we all took a trip out to South Carolina, the Chain Reaction band, Josh,
Beaufort, South Carolina.
Yep. People. Yeah, Beaufort, South Carolina, and we went out there, Phil, and so we went out to this place. It used to be a church at one time, an actual church, and then it burnt down, and then they rebuilt it back up to exactly the way it was, and then they turned it into a distillery. That's how I got its name, Burnt Church. And so when you walk in there, it's like you're going down this hallway, and then you come into this place called the Sanctuary, and that's where all the liquor is served, right? And then and then the bathroom, I forget they call the bathroom, but it had its own name too. And then you go into the bathroom, the men's bathroom, and there's this it's just this long wall, and it's got a basin at the bottom of it. And above it says the pee wall, and then you just pee into the wall.
It's literally like a
we all
waterfall.
have a picture where we're bumping fists, peeing at the P wall.
Hey Jay, you still got that picture of me and Nick fist bumping?
No, I do. You know what? Hey, I'll send it to you. I'll have to dig it up, but yeah, I have it somewhere in my archive.
But no, yeah.
But no,
in
I'll
relation
send it to you.
that,
I'll even send it to. I'll put it in the group chat so Phil can see.
Right. But in relation to that, yeah, you walk into the sanctuary type deal, and they got the stained glass on the wall, like on the windows, and just the atmosphere, the food, and the whiskey as well. It was just amazing. Like as Jay said, if you guys are in the area and you can go, I highly recommend it. If not, go on their website, and I'm sure they will allow you to order their stuff online. Yeah.
Hey Josh, how do you spell your son's name?
So I spell it how it should be: Jackson.
Oh, you hurt my heart. So my youngest kid name is Jackson, but we spell it Jaxon.
I named my son Jackson after the song Jackson that Johnny and June did.
You know what's crazy about that? Yeah,
you're frozen, buddy.
Phil. I actually have a cousin. He's a toddler right now, but he's named Jackson, and that's how he spelled it. It was Jax. It was Jaxon, I think it is.
Yeah.
That's the more like modern way they spell it nowadays. I've come to find, but I wanted the original based on the song Jackson that Johnny and June did. That's my relation to why he's Jackson.
Oh yeah.
So Josh, speaking about music, right? You obviously you joined the Army. So at what point was music always a passion for you, like a sense of relief, or when did you really get into music?
So actually, if I may, I want to grab something to show you in reflection of that. Stand by.
Yeah, look, military guy, stand by, huh?
So, gotta grab the guitar. So I learned how to play guitar when I was 11 years old. And by way of doing that, Christmas after I turned 11, my grandma got me this. And I've had it for 20 years. It plays beautifully. I mean, just has a beautiful sound to it. And she played for the first year of lessons because she wanted me to strive for excellence. She wanted me to chase my dreams and never just have just a basic life. You know what I mean? Like just have every opportunity to excel in life, provided that it's God driven. You know what I mean? Because God was a big thing in her life and in mine as well. Like she's the reason why I got saved at the age of 9, got into church, so on and so forth. But neither here nor there. Kind of did lessons for 3 years and then kind of did my own thing because at one point you just kind of got to take the reins and go elsewhere. And wasn't until I was probably 15 years old where I started actually writing music and, you know, putting words down on paper and putting music to it. And then, but my big country kick when I started doing country music was when I joined the Army, because I was very relatable. You know, when you listen to country music, a lot of people are like, oh, I hate country music. Country music. I lost my girl, lost my dog, lost my truck, you know, whatever. But if you take a step back and listen to the lyrics, it tells a profound story. And that's what I love so much. People nowadays, they release music and it's just like, I'm just releasing music to make money. And that's it. And I'm not talking about everyone. I'm not, you know, knocking on people's, you know, dreams, of course. I'm not going to knock over your sandcastles like the way it's being built. But in relation to country music, it saved my life more times than I want to admit. And especially when I was deployed in Afghanistan, I wrote, oh my gosh, probably 17 songs in Afghanistan. One specific, it's called Soldier's Prayer. Jay, I know you've heard it.
Yeah.
And that song got us through, you know, like God put up an umbrella over our unit when I wrote that song and brought us all back home safe. We didn't lose anybody. Nobody got injured. Nobody got shot at. We were just hunkered down under the grace of God. And, you know, I like to think that song kept us going. And then when I got back from Poland and really like kick-started into country music, starting to really write and do stuff like that, I got picked up by Chain Reaction and they kind of took me under their wing and kind of just went from there. And I got out of the Army last year, July of last year, and I kick-started my music career back here at home. And I kind of shot myself in the foot initially by way of just going, playing every weekend, you know, just playing any bar I could. And kind of put my mental health and things on the back burner while that kind of creeped up. I'm sure you guys understand. Mm-hmm. And for those of you listening that have served you, I'm sure you understand as well. You know, sometimes mental health says, hey, did you forget about me? Well, guess what? I'm back. And then we go into that season, especially when it gets cold and, it gets depressing, the season just creeps up on you and grabs you and just makes you drown kind of. But I'm back. I'm writing. I'm currently working on, I'm not even exaggerating. I'm working on 50 songs right now with plans to release an acoustic album the first year and then a country rock album in the summer. So a lot of big things happening. And yeah, it's all God driven, and by the grace of God, here we are.
That's awesome that you said that too, Josh. I mean, outside of God, I always say that music is like the connective tissue to the world, right? We can all relate through music. When I was growing up in high school, I used to write poetry. I played guitar for a number. I was in band, so honors band. I used to read music. I used to play guitar, but I kind of stopped over the years. But to me, guitar is one of those skills it's awesome to have. It's soothing. Go ahead.
I have a quote, and I created this quote when I was 16 years old. A guitar is life with strings. The music is the journey it took to get there.
100%.
100%.
I mean, I would say to me, and Jason, you could chime in too. I would say outside of the saxophone and the trumpet, to me, guitar is like one of the top instruments you could play, dude.
Think about guitar. It's very versatile. You can take it anywhere. You can use it in almost any type of genre. And it can literally be your biggest support system if you can learn how to play it. And just to put this out there, I do give lessons.
Well, yeah, because typically when you're writing music, you're either writing it with a guitar or an acoustic guitar, or you're writing it with a piano. Those are your two basic writing instruments. So I can see how you fall in love with the guitar, and I can see the versatility and the applications, how it can be used. Yeah, I played trumpet in band. That's all right. That's all right.
Little toot.
Yeah, that's all right, man. Hey, it's okay. I just looked at it because there was this one growing band I liked, and I didn't really care about band. I just wanted to talk to the girl and whatever.
That's usually how it starts. I played tuba. I played tuba in marching band in school. So,
dude, y'all are better than me. I played the oboe in band. All right,
you played the oboe.
Hey, wait a minute. Hold on. Hey, you don't feel looks like an oboe player. Don't he just look like an oboe player?
Well, look, I have a reason. I fractured my wrist right before band started. So this is like my sophomore year out of middle school. I fractured my wrist. So all throughout middle school, you're playing the same instrument every single year. You just build upon it. So I got stuck. But I wanted to ask y'all. I want to get a little deeper about your guys' friendship, Jason and Josh. Yeah. So for example, Josh, me and Jay, we met when I PCS from Fort Carson, 110 Cav to Fort Stewart, right, in the BEB. And he immediately kind of took me under his wing and kind of carried me out throughout deployments. And then God put me in a position where I can kind of care for him when he had his marital struggles, with his ex-wife and stuff. So me and Jay been rocking together since 2015, 2016, and 2024. So kind of, I know you said y'all met in Fort Stewart or in Richmond Hill, but like kind of how has that relationship grown between you and Jason?
Well, the thing about it is when Jason and Mel moved to Texas and they built their house, like that hurt. I'll be honest with you. Like they were family, and when you have that father and mother figure that you miss, that are 12 hours away, and you don't have that readily available, that's what they were. Like, just anytime I was having any issues of depression or anxiety or just whatever was going on in my life, I could come to Jason and be like, dude, this is what's going on. And he would give me a different perspective. He'd, just kind of give me a hug like a little, teddy bear he is.
It's like anything else, when I was going through my issues, Phil was there and he helped me get through it and stuff like that. And I always say, you got to pay things forward. And if somebody's there for you, you got to be there for other people as well, and that's the one thing about the military. At least it used to be. I'm gonna go down that road because that's a whole other road, a whole other conversation. But
right.
The brotherhood of what it used to be, right? That's how you do it. That's a trickle down effect. So Phil helped me, I help you, and then you help other people. So
that's how I always
be, right.
Right. That's how I always lived my life, especially being a leader, being an NCO. I always take care of my own. I don't care who you are. You enter my life, and if you're in need of help, I'll provide. Any way I can. And so when they moved to Texas, that really hurt, but the communication never stopped. Mm-hmm. They got into Texas, they built their house, they're doing their thing. We're still talking, communicating. I'm following them on Facebook, seeing the progress. And me and Jason I swear we talk almost every day, don't we, Jason?
Just about, yeah.
Just about get on there and, just talk about whatever. And that was actually was it Monday or Tuesday this week was when Jason asked me to come on the show. And it was a big honor. And I was like, yeah, man, absolutely. Because I love, getting to interact with, prior service, those currently serving, and just kind of swap stories in that regard. And then also sprinkle a little music on top.
And you know what, man? To me, that's like the best part of the military, right? Is when you meet folks that don't become friends or mentors anymore, but they become family, right? Me and Jay, and don't get me wrong, me and Jay have our disagreements. I just got done fussing at Jay today through text messages about the podcast. So, I mean, we have our disagreements, but at the end of the day, like I told Jay, there's nothing that could happen that can stop me from loving him. You know what I mean? No matter what.
Yeah.
Because
he messaged me today and kind of got into my hair a little bit. And I thought to myself, what a douche. But I love him.
What a douche. Well, I don't know, Jason. You shave that beard, I might love you a little less.
Hey, but look, Josh, you got Jason in his teddy bear form. I called Jason when he was a hard charging, super buff guy who wasn't taking shit from nobody. So you got him at the right time.
He was a cutthroat meat eater, I'm sure.
Oh man. So hey, but look, let's dive into this military stuff a little deeper, man. So obviously both of y'all were part of the Rocket Sign, which is unique. So like what were some moments in both of your guys, you can go back and forth, both of your guys' military career and kind of molded you into, you know what, this is what I want to be like, you know what, this is what I don't want to be like. You can go first, Josh.
Well, it really happened, after I got back from deployment. Because when you're deployed in a third world country, especially Afghanistan of all places, it really puts things into perspective. Like, this is what I was, brought on this earth to do. This is what God, put me in this position to do, to be a leader, because everyone's a leader in their own right. Doesn't matter the rank on your chest. Yeah. You give an opportunity, you give it a job, you give it a task, you have to pursue that to the best of your ability, or your guys get injured or killed, And so I was forced to grow up really quick. I joined at 21, turned 22 in basic training. So I was still in my younger 20s when I joined, still growing up. And when I deployed immediately after I got to the 101st Airborne, it was a big gut check, like a big gut check, especially you get over there and, you get to see the culture and the environment, and it literally hits you back, because I don't know if y'all have been to Afghanistan, but the smell never leaves. And just seeing it, I still see it to this day, the overpopulation, the poverty, the suffering, the people getting blown up, people getting shot at, you see it every day. And you say, is today going to be my day? Yeah. Well, I come back, and that's kind of what my song Soldier's Prayer dictates. It's like, just giving it to God for his mercy and understanding and protection, if it be his will. And if we go home, we go home. But you just have to give it to him and let him take charge to get that off your mind, because you have got to have 100% focus. So that's what was a big support in that relation.
That's really a big thing, giving it to God. I mean, it's easy to say I'm going to give it to God, but to actually really give up control of something and let, God take it, for me, that was a hard thing. And when I actually gave it to him, I saw how great it was, or is.
You feel the pressure, like relief off your shoulders when you give it to him in that relation. It's like, just let him have it. Trust in him, walk by faith, not by sight, and just do your job,
Hey, Jay, real quick before you finish speaking, it's funny that you mentioned that, though, Josh. So I'm doing this Bible study with my church right now, and this quote, we're doing this, the book of Daniel, but it's about courage, right? So it says, true courage is believing God can and expecting that he will, but trusting him if he doesn't.
Amen to that.
It's true, and I'll tell you, Phil, and I know that verse, because that's actually the verse. No, because when I was having a hard time of letting go of control, because I'm a control freak. I mean, when I let go of control and gave it to God,
you are.
Yeah. But and Melanie said, no, she brought me down one day. She said, she's like, you know what? You just got to do it. I don't care if you want me to stay married to you. You got to just do it. And I did. And I took that leap of faith and I did. But it was so hard to go up to control and let God do it. But then once I actually fed into it and gave up the control, life took a 180-degree turn, and for the better. But it's a scary thing to give up control. But once you give it up and just say, let God take it, oh, it's amazing. It really is amazing. When I joined the military in 93 in the Navy, and I did my Navy extent the first 10 years there. Then I got out and did real estate, did some other things. And then when the stock market crashed, I decided to go back in the military to reinvigorate myself. But at that time, the Navy was only going to 32, and I'm 38. And then the Navy guy says, well, the guy in the Army goes to 42. Why don't you go check him out? I'm like, hey, you know what? I'll take my old geriatric ass. I'm gonna go next door then. So I went next door, and of course, they signed me up with no problems, right? And they didn't even care. And so I went to basic training, did all that kind of stuff. Which, by the way, if you've ever gone from a Navy boot camp to an Army boot camp, it is a world of difference. It's not even in the realm of. It's not even the realm of that. You know, so I'm glad I did. And I was in E6 at the time in the Navy, and they dropped me down to E4 in the Army. You know, and at first I was kind of pissed off about that, but I'm glad they did, because here's the thing: leadership in the Army is 100% different than leadership in the Navy. They're two different animals. They're not even closely aligned. So I think if I'd have gotten sergeant right off the rip, I would have been. It'd been like set me up for failure. So in retrospect, I'm glad they dropped me down and let me come back up, because in all honesty, that really was the best thing for me. And I will tell you, once I got out of A school, or I guess they call it MOS school, I got orders to go to Fort Campbell, and I went to one of the other guys who was a prior enlisted guy in the Army, and I said, "Hey, look, what's up with this Fort Campbell, man? They got me going to 3rd Brigade Rocket Science. What's that all about?" He's like, "Oh man, he goes, you're going to be deployed 24/7. I ain't gonna lie, it's gonna be a little." And so I was already kind of intimidated about going there because I didn't know what to expect. But once I got there, I went to the training room. The first sergeant brought me into his office, and I had a long conversation with him. And and he really put me at ease, and he really was very supportive. First Sergeant James Bell, by the way, he was Special Forces. He gave me this hat, by the way. So he's an old Special Forces guy, and he taught me the ropes. He took me under his wing, and then I had a really good platoon leader in the training room that took me under his wing. And then they said, we want to convert you from NBC, because nobody gives a damn about NBC. And we're going to make you a Cav Scout. No, kid you not. Words out of his mouth. We're going to make you a Cav Scout. So I literally, for that whole year, the first year I was there, it was school after school after school after school after school about everything it took to be a Cav Scout. And I excelled at all of them. I went back, and that's what we did. But what I loved about it most, it was the camaraderie, was the brotherhood, was the caring about your fellow neighbor, rather than a ranking system and it all being about business. And let me rank these guys and this, that, and the other. I don't want. Okay, I'm gonna go down that rabbit hole. Let me come back to focus. I'm just trying to say it's a brotherhood. It was an absolute 100% brotherhood. And if I got your back, I got your back. Don't you sweat nothing. And that's what I love. That's what I loved about the Army, and that's what I loved about the military. And Josh, I was a Cav Scout 133. I think you know where it's at the corner of Normandy and where Desert Storm. Where you know where I'm at. Yep. Yeah. So I love it, man. Phil and Josh, I know he loved it too. And good time.
Well, the thing.
Go ahead, Josh.
If I may, real quick, the thing I most loved about being stationed there at Fort Campbell was I had Nashville literally right there.
Oh yeah,
so that's what I got. Also big into country music, because the country music like area is just right there, and it's it's big. And you go downtown Broadway, I think it is there in Nashville, and you just hear country music everywhere, in every bar, every amateur artist out there trying to make a name for themselves. And
right.
I did have an opportunity to go to a record label and just let them hear me, and they're like, "Hey man, you got a good foundation, but you got some work to do. Work on your vocals. Work on your songwriting. You're in your beginning stages, but you're not ready." So I took that. That kind of knocked me back a little bit, but I still took that information and ran with it. But I had to wait until it was the time, and that's where I'm kind of at right now, where feel like I'm ready. I'm matured in my vocals. My overall ability to play and write music is getting there, and I'm just ready to take off. Whenever I'm able, release my album and just take off from there. See what happens.
Absolutely.
But you know what, Josh? I mean, that's good feedback though, because I'd rather have someone be honest with me like that instead of kind of giving me fluff and got me thinking that I'm ready for something, and I'm sitting there wondering like, man, why is my music not hitting when the whole time, right. Like you said, right? I got these things to work on to get better. I have a good foundation though,
Because yeah, I mean, I've been in music most of my life. Like when I was 16, I had the opportunity to audition for American Idol. And went to there was a stadium here in St. Louis, went there, was all day, went before the producers, wasn't the actual judges, but just the producers. You sing whatever, and they're like, all right, you're in, you're not. So I didn't make that, but that's still that overall experience. I take the experience and carry it like, hey, I did this, didn't make it, but I still did it. And then the past I think 3 years I've auditioned for the Voice, where they do the virtual online voice. And I almost thought I was going to make it 2 years ago because it took them a while to get back to me as far as like you made it or not. Because a lot of times it's immediate, like you didn't make it. But I just have never gotten past the audition. But I think that's God saying that's not what I'm meant to do. Like, I'm not meant to be on a platform like that. I'm meant to go my own route and then wait and see what happens. You know, let his door be opened other than, you know, picking up on somebody else's back and, you know, carrying on their stuff, you know.
You know what's interesting, Josh? I watched a documentary last night on Nickelback. Now, before I get crucified for listening,
I like Nickelback. I like Nickelback.
Hey, I like Nickelback too. Anybody that shits on
but
Nickelback
here's
can
the
go
deal.
away.
If you ever get a chance, Josh, if you ever get a chance, and I will find it and I will send it to you, whatever. Go watch that documentary because it is hugely profound.
I've seen it.
So you know what I'm talking about? Chad
it's on
Kroeger,
Netflix.
Bro, Chad Kroeger was getting shut down left and right. This man was taking out money from his parents, his friends, his pawn shop, his drug. I mean, he was doing all kinds of just to try to make it big. And it took a long time before he was able to write a couple of songs that actually took off.
The thing, if I may, Jay, real quick about Chad Kroeger, like he shot himself in the foot in the early 2000s because he had a cocky attitude.
Oh yeah, he did.
That's what caused them to fall out. Was he was just so cocky in his stage presence and performance.
That can happen. Sometimes that can happen, unfortunately. But
and like, that's what you and I both know about that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, just for example, you know, Chain Reaction. Let's bring that noise up real quick. Chain Reaction was a solid band. They had a solid foundation. They were going places. They signed to a record label. Unfortunately, their founder made a bad decision. I won't drop names. I won't do anything like that. But their founder made a bad decision. And because of that, the two members left. And now he's facing the music on that noise, you know, was dropped from his label. You know, now he's just, you know, doing the same thing he was, playing covers in bars, you know, not really going anywhere right now. And that's his own mistake. So that's what I'm saying.
That's that pride we were talking about, Phil. That pride will get you, man. That humility is life. Pride is death. And that's what happens. Unfortunately, that's the downside to it, right? So, and Jason's not the only one. Look, there are lots of bands out there that go through that. You know, I mean, lots of bands where they just, you know, they get.
I'm a firm believer. I'm a firm believer that your first band always breaks up because you have to learn how to be a band or how to be a performer in your first band, and it never goes well. Like you have to learn your mistakes to progress. Right. That's why I'm also a solo artist right now because I'm not ready. I'm not ready for a band commitment, so I do my own thing, and then we'll see what happens.
I get that. Totally get that.
And you know what, too, Josh? I said this today earlier to somebody, right? God's timing is perfect timing, right? Slow, like we said in the Army, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. You'll get there.
Oh yeah, I'm writing a song right now, The Reason for the Season, and that dictates all about that. You know, everything happens for a reason. There's no mistakes in the will of God. Like a door opens, you better catch it, or it's gonna slam shut before you get the opportunity. Like don't ever talk. You know, yeah.
While we're speaking about music, right? We've been honored and blessed by Josh to have him write the theme song or the song. We haven't determined what it's going to be, but the song for the Whiskey Hour. So, Josh, you kind of want to go into that a little bit, man?
Yeah, I'll give you a little something, you know. So yeah, Jason earlier in the week was telling me that he was looking for an intro song for the podcast.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can put a song that's already been recorded on your podcast, sound great, you know, whatever. But I was like, Jason, I can write you a song. Because that's a big blessing that God has bestowed upon me is the ability to write music and just write songs really easy. So this came to me last night. Took 10 minutes to write and maybe 10 minutes to get the music together. So if I may.
Please. And once again, we are the Whiskey Hour podcast on the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network, joined by the esteemed guest, Josh Reed. I'm your host, Phil Charles. Give us a like, follow, subscribe.
Real quick, how's it sound?
Sound like good to me.
Okay. Whiskey in my hand. This land is our land. Try to understand what's happening in the world today. chair and gather around. Listen up to what we have found. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Whiskey Hour.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
I got hair.
Thank you,
some
thank you,
hair.
thank you.
Hey,
You got goosebumps?
that's right up my alley, man. I like that, bro. I like that a lot.
And I wrote that in this book. So this is called the Country Bible, and it has. So I started this. This was a journal I had in Afghanistan, and I unfortunately could only write until September 7th. I got there August 20th. I could only write till September 7th because it got real hard after that. So this book stayed blank for, goodness, 5 years, up on the shelf, just blank. So I pulled it out. And I was like, you know what? I got all this room. And God said, well, I'm going to give you some songs. Start writing these down. And literally, I've just, let me see, where stop at? Because I'll, yeah. See that? That's all songs ready to be written.
Ooh.
Oh wow, that's crazy. That's what
I'm getting at.
But you know, when you get in that mode, like anything else, if you're in a groove, hey, lots of stuff can. I mean, when God gives you the information, man, I'm telling you, it'll come in waves.
Oh yeah, it does come in waves, and sometimes it's a little overwhelming. But you got to roll through the rain, and roll through the mud to stand on the foundation, and that's where I'm at right now. And I'm just once I get my house, because I just bought a house, so I just set this all up like today for the podcast. I'll be honest with you. But the rest of my studio is just not even set up at this point. It's just a basement. And but yeah, once I get everything set up and whatnot, I plan to get a professional studio in here and have it just go to work, do recording tracks. And I'm actually going to start a record label and collaborate with a buddy of mine. He does rap and R&B. I do country, classic, and Christian. And we're going to roll together and see what happens.
There you go. Collaboration is always a good thing.
Hey, man.
It is.
Hey, Jason and Josh, before we wrap up, I'm gonna hit both of you real quick. Just kind of give me it's been a pretty positive conversation, especially in terms of like leadership and growth and just persevering, right? So from both of y'all, give me one lesson for anyone that's listening that could use a lesson or a piece of advice. Give them one piece of advice.
The best one I have is, and I've lived like this my entire life, and I don't know how I remembered this, but it just went into my brain and stayed there for some reason. That's the only thing that's ever really stayed there, but it stayed there. And the one thing my daddy always told me, and I just feel like it's so appropriate for life, is he said, Jason, listen to wisdom and refuse it not. And so when you get that wisdom, you know what wisdom is. You can tell, usually tell the wisdom, and I just pack it away, man. That's what I do, man. I feel like if you're mature enough to listen to good, and adhere to good advice, you're gonna be all right. That and of course read your Bible, man, because all the answers are there.
Right. I would say the biggest advice I can give anyone that's listening, or those that are serving, or just in general in life, especially the world that we're dealing with nowadays, is hold your loved ones close. You never know when the ultimate choice is going to be made, where they get called up north. You never know how long you have with your loved ones. So you have loved ones that you're down and out with, or have a bad term with, swallow your pride, swallow your heartache, and just call them, because you never know if tomorrow's going to come, because we're not guaranteed our next breath according to God. And kind of you have to take that into perspective and understand that life is short. I've lost buddies, I've lost service members, and sometimes it's not even their fault. They're just in a rough situation, or just life just happens. And like, I had a buddy who unfortunately lost his mother last Sunday battling cancer. Last Sunday morning she passed, and I had to lean on him real hard. Went to his funeral today, and it just makes you put life into perspective of how short life really is. And we're not guaranteed to see our loved one tomorrow, or even the rest of the day. They could pass away today, even. Like, they still young. So that's the biggest thing, is just hold your loved ones close. Tell them you love them. Give them a call if you're not close, in proximity to where you're living. Just biggest thing is communicate with your loved ones. Yeah.
I think I'm a close out on this one, right? And this is a question from Bob Marley, from one of my favorite movies, I Am Legend, with Will Smith, right? But he says that to be the change that you want to see in the world. And the people that are trying to make this world a bad place aren't taking a day off. So how can we, right?
I like that.
Yeah.
But Josh, tell the folks, I know you got your podcast with your son. Where can they find you all at?
So right now, my only social media platform is Facebook. You can go on there, look up Josh Reed, and you can like me and subscribe to my Facebook. That would be my biggest support right now. Once we launch the YouTube channel and all that stuff, it'll all be funneled through Facebook, so all the links will be provided there. May I say one more thing before we do disconnect in that relation, if I may?
Yes, sir.
Since we're kind of giving life lessons and things of those terms, I want to leave you guys with this. So I quote Steve Harvey. So Steve Harvey, very prominent motivational speaker, and he spoke on this term about the mayonnaise jar and the flea, if y'all ever heard that. So a flea has a 36-inch vertical, or you can hop 36 inches. And let's say you take that flea and you put him in a mayonnaise jar and put the lid on top. He's still going to think and know that he has a 36-inch vertical. So he's going to start hopping, but he's going to hit that lid, okay? You're going to catch some more fleas in there. Those fleas are going to congregate. Those fleas are going to have babies. Those babies born with a 36-inch vertical are going to be a product of their environment by way of seeing their parents only hit so far, even though they have a 36-inch vertical. So with those terms, until you take the lid off your mayonnaise jar by way of reach your fullest potential, you will continue to bump your head every time, or you're going to bounce your rear end every time you hop instead of spreading your wings and flying. So that's my terminology on that one. You know, just chase your dreams. Don't ever think that a dream is impossible. The only dream that's impossible is the one that you make impossible. Everything is determined by willpower and understanding and motivation. Also, support of loved ones around you. So take those lessons, take these terms, and just roll with it. I mean, I promise you, if you do that, you will find that you can actually accomplish anything.
Yes, sir. And above all else, keep God first. Again, this is the Whiskey Hour podcast on the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. I'm your host, Phil Charles, joined by my co-host, Jay McMillan, Jay McLovin, Jay Smooth, and our newest member of the family, Mr. Josh Reed. Again, we love y'all. God bless and be safe.
Hey, y'all. Thanks so much.